Morning, Janelle.
Morning, this is Ezra checking in, just on by phone for the moment, but computer in a few minutes.
Thank you, Ezra. And good morning.
I don't know.
Good morning, Marty.
Morning, Janelle. Does that sound all right?
Yep, you sound good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Good morning, Commissioner Bookland.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay, Janelle?
Yep, we can hear you. Thank you.
Good.
Okay, everyone, it's 8 a.m. I'll call the meeting to order. So I know Sarah is going to miss the meeting, and I haven't seen if Tom Wilson's checked in yet, but maybe he's not going to make it either. Unusual for him. Okay, let's see. Welcome to all of our guests. Janelle, would you like to go through the virtual meeting guidance, please?
Certainly. Good morning, commissioners, members of the public, and staff. To help us have a smooth meeting, I'm going to review just a few decorum rules for all. Number 1, please ensure your mic is muted unless you are speaking. Number 2, please state your name before speaking. Number 3, in general, please have your camera on if possible. If you are speaking, you may turn your camera off if you are experiencing technological challenges. And number 4, as a reminder, the public chat has been disabled, but you can still send messages to the host if need be. And this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on YouTube. Let's have a great meeting, everyone, and welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Janelle. Michael, do you have any announcements?
No announcements this morning, President Hubble.
Okay, well, thank you. And that moves us to the proclamation honoring Bruce Pirelli's years of service. Congratulations, Bruce, on your retirement.
I'm happy to take it from there, President Hubble, if you'd like me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm very honored and to present this proclamation to Bruce on behalf of the commission. And you can see, I'll look through this, but before Bruce even started with the district formally, he did work in the laboratory 5 years before he started in a full-time capacity. And he did then went into the private sector for 5 years before joining the district, and the rest is history. He's worked with for the district for 29 years as a project engineer, and became the director of engineering in 2004 until his retirement, which is expected to come next week. Of course, we do our research around here, and we dug into Bruce's personnel file, and we found a merit award from the chief engineer and director, Jim Nemke, way back right after his first year of appointment for outstanding performance, right after his first year. And if you look at all of Bruce's just numerous contributions, and they're all documented, a few that we picked out where his early work as a mechanical engineer on the 8th edition, pumping station 17, and then worked on really a historic project, the project manager, which was the 6-mile effluent return force main to Badger Mill Creek, which is a watershed balancing project, which is one of those projects that the district is very, very proud of, and a very complex project with multiple jurisdictions. Bruce was involved in 4 additions to the treatment plant, starting with the 8th edition, moving to the 11th edition, and then of course, the liquid processing improvements with that most of the commissioners here or all of you have been involved in supporting, and all of these additions have helped improve environmental quality, expanded capacity to serve a growing Dane County, and of course provided resiliency. We tallied up the costs of all the projects. Bruce, and actually we did this with Bruce's help, because Bruce has kept a meticulous accounting of all his projects. It's up to almost $500 million worth of projects, and one of the milestones for him is projects have come in with change orders less than 1.5% average, and that is very significant because it really reflects meticulous attention to detail in the preparation of plans and specifications, and really good project management. So it's really reflective of what a legacy Bruce has brought here, is that when we say a project is going to cost something, it costs something, and you can rely on it. One of Bruce's quotes was that this is a great job, and water is critical to everything, and we can't live without it, and that conveying and treating wastewater is critical to public health and the environment. Bruce, I really enjoyed working with Bruce because of his personal integrity, and one of the things that he has done that I've really supported, and it's just part of how Bruce managed, is that he nurtured his staff, and we would hire, or we do hire, project engineers right out of college, Bruce did not hesitate to assign complex projects to them that he knew they could succeed at and would be challenged by with his oversight and coaching. And that allowed engineers to quickly grow and take a project from conception to completion And that is part of something the district does that very few other organizations do. Usually projects are handed off from step to step, and usually just senior engineers have the opportunity to run projects. I did, we have the therefore be it resolved that, the MMSD offers sincere gratitude to Bruce for his 29 years of service. And we wish the best to him. And as you know, we're having a cookout, an open air cookout for him. That's going to be on September 2nd. That's next week. And I did want to leave you with if you would go to the next slide, my favorite slide of Bruce. I'm sorry, Bruce, I couldn't help but show this slide. If you can put it up for me, this picture of Bruce. Maybe
Michael, we're screen sharing so you could put it up.
Oh, great. All right, I will do that. Okay. I'm sorry to take so much time, but since we, this is a little fussy right now. Oh, darn it.
Bruce, as we wait for Michael to bring the picture up, I want to say I've enjoyed working with you as well. I think I started with the district in '92 as a commissioner. And then, of course, I worked more regularly with you once you were the head of the director of engineering. And I want to say, that large project that went through Fitchburg on the effluent return line. I had nothing but compliments about your performance from Jim Kristoff and others who you worked with. He was the parks director in Fitchburg. And he really thought you were very professional and worked real well.
President Hubble, I won't be able to pull it up, but
Okay.
I don't want to delay
Michael?
the meeting. Yes.
I just asked Lynn if she could put it up because I don't even know where it's at since I was screen sharing earlier.
Yeah, Len.
So if you-
Yeah, I'm sorry to make a big deal about it, but it's kind of fun.
No, that's fine. And we'll see if we can get that up. Bringing up Jim Kristoff and other people like that, it goes back sometime. Yes, that's a few years ago. It's I'll keep it short and sweet. That's kind of the guy I am in general. And I won't go on video because it's it is kind of emotional in general. It is hard to believe it's been 30 years. Started in '92 on bid opening for the 8th edition. Bid opening day for the 8th edition. Now we're on the 11th edition and well beyond the 11th edition, I guess now, well beyond that. And like Michael said, well, yeah, that is quite the picture when we're putting the domes on the effluent storage tanks. That was maybe Commissioner Hubble, you're the only one that remembers doing that, but that was quite a crane that did that, and it was on kind of a foggy morning. We had to do it when it wasn't windy early in the morning, and it was like there's a lot of pictures of that. It looks like a saucer or a UFO coming in, on some of the pictures, but that was quite an adventure. But yeah, literally hundreds of projects, anywhere from 20, 30, 40,000 to 40 million. And like Michael said, in being the engineer that I am, I kept track of them, and I had to assume an inflation factor and do this and that, and yeah, it's probably in the 400 to 500 million in projects since I started. And I think Jessica and Janelle asked me what are you most proud of, and it's like. And that it's not only how many projects we did, and these are difficult projects, but it was nobody was really seriously injured in any of them. I did take a chain wheel to the head at 4 a.m. on one of them and got 12 stitches out of it. This was many years ago at Pump Station 2, but no serious injuries. never really got into any serious legal battles, litigation and stuff like that. And that just goes to show again, the quality of our plans and specs. Again, our change orders were typically very low. And that just shows the great work of, our staff and our consultants, our attention to details. Again, these aren't easy projects. They, a lot of them are in difficult areas, just complex in general, and staff just did a great job. And when we talk about physical assets a lot, pipes and pumps and equipment and all that stuff, but probably the biggest asset the district really does have in the end, it's all the employees. They are extremely dedicated, the folks that are at the district, and they really care about what they do. They do it quietly, efficiently, and without a lot of fanfare. And I still think that they're the top-notch folks. And I'm proud to have worked alongside them. And a lot of times in difficult situations, a lot of late nights. Been in a few flooded basements, which is never fun. And always work through it, and it's great to work with. The co-workers, even our consultants, our contractors, they've always over the years made my work a lot easier in general. And the last one was the commission. The commission is always, you as a commission has always been very supportive of staff and the work we do. And it's always been just a great pleasure working with the commission. The district is, in general, it's very satisfying work. Protecting public health and the environment. In the end, a great profession to be in, very rewarding profession. And it's been a great time here. I think the district is in good hands. It is in good hands, and everybody will keep doing a great job in general. And I just wanted to thank everybody again for the great run, all the support, the great memories. I've met many characters over the years. If you want to call them characters, I could write a book about some of the situations and things we've dealt with on these projects. But it has been a great adventure that I've enjoyed, and really looking forward to the next chapter, moving on, spending time with the grandkids, and enjoying the later years, doing some traveling and stuff like that. So again, thanks again to everybody, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Bruce. That picture, Michael, reminds me of he's conjuring up as Obi-Wan Kenobi, like he's raising it from the earth. Okay.
Tom, could I chime in quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Ezra. I saw your hand up. Sorry,
Yeah,
and then
thanks.
I see Mary waving.
Seniority is a relative thing around this place. I've been here 11 years, but I wanted to say a couple words about Bruce. I just thinking about it this morning. We're in the infrastructure business, right? And that's our backbone. And Bruce is right there, and his team doing that stuff for us day in, day out. I thought about the words that came up for me thinking about infrastructure work are that we build solid quality projects, and we need them to be enduring and resilient. All those 4 words apply to Bruce and his work too. Solid, quality, enduring, and resilient. It's just it's been really impressive watching him do what he does. And then the legacy is there in the ground. It's going to be there for decades past, Bruce working with us. And then the second part of his legacy is in all those folks he's mentored and trained up that are going to keep doing the good work for us. So really great working with you, Bruce. We're going to miss you. And thanks for all that incredible work over 30 plus years.
Thanks, Ezra. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Bruce. Enjoy your retirement. Okay. Anyone else? I don't see any other hands up, so we'll move on to appearances by the public. Do we have any appearances by the public? Don't see anyone. That will move us to the consent calendar, where we have the expedited boundary annexation, EPIC, City of Verona. Review and approval of sanitary sewer extension plans. I believe there was one of those. Approval of minutes from the last meeting. Approval of the cash statement operating fund. And then review of bids and award of contract for the dissolved oxygen sensor system replacement. Any questions before we get a motion? Okay, no questions. We have a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll make that
So
motion,
moved.
Tom.
Okay,
Happy
we
to
have-
second.
Motion by Commissioner Clark, second by Commissioner Meyer to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
I
And those opposed? None, motion carries. Okay, that takes us to topics, which we don't have any. And then that will take us to the Chief Engineer and Director's report. Michael?
Thank you. I hope you enjoy this nice rest of not having many topics, because as we start moving into the next couple of meetings with budget and different, we'll have full agendas coming up here. But I have two things to report today to the commission. One, we did have a treatment plant overflow on Wednesday, August 11th, and we estimated about 5 gallons of foamed biosolids, 5 gallons spilled out of a manhole. The factors were our polymer system failed during normal centrifuge operations, and there's insufficient flow of dilution in the water, and that to prevent accumulation of the solids. The area was cleaned up without the migration of any foam. No notices were issued because there isn't any risk to public health or the environment. However, we do report and notify the TFO to the Department of Natural Resources for compliance with the requirements. I wanted to pause there and just check with the commission. My practice has been to share with you every a treatment plant overflow, regardless of how small. And I just want to check in if you're comfortable with me continuing to do that. Of course, an option would be to only report TFOs that trigger a public notice because there is risk to public health or the environment. But I'll just continue reporting every overflow, however small, until advised otherwise. So I just wanted to check in with you on that with my practice. I'm looking at President Howell to see if there's any guidance.
I think continue what you're doing, Michael. I think that's good for us to know. And then, you know, you don't have to, I think just continue on. I see a couple thumbs up. So
Good.
I think that's, I think
Good.
it's
I
just good
appreciate that.
information for us to have.
I appreciate that. So I'll continue doing that. My second item is our COVID-19 response. Last Tuesday, I have a district emergency management team of district staff, and we meet on a regular basis. And last Tuesday, we set some new guidelines regarding COVID-19, and with cases of the Delta variant surging, Public Health Madison has announced an indoor mask mandate, which I'm sure you're all aware of, which we have put into effect as well. So for those who are working in the office, whether staff or contractors, masks must be worn when interacting with others and moving about the building in shared spaces, but it's okay for our staff to work without masks in their office. A couple things in addition that we made some changes regarding what happened last week with regard to external interactions. And our top line goal has always been that our decision making is to protect our employees. That's our number one goal. We tend to be, or we are, very conservative, many times more so than other agencies. As far as tours go, and that we had previously said we would consider restarting tours when schools start, but this is now on hold. Meetings with the public, including contractors and stakeholders, we continue to encourage virtual meetings where appropriate, but in-person meetings are allowed with supervisor approval. For in-person meetings with the new public health order, All participants, staff and non-staff, must wear masks. We remain closed to the public, and members of the public, and vendors are allowed by invitation only. And this gets to with a pending commission meeting in person. I'm recommending that, given these recent changes to our guidance, that the commission consider continuing with virtual meetings for the foreseeable future. I know we have been planning to return to in-person meetings to get on the new quarterly format starting in October for budget deliberations. But I think I'd like the commission to reconsider whether that's a good idea, because we don't have any control over what public would be showing up, and we're technically closed to the public. So that's my recommendation, President Hubble, to you and the commission. We don't need to decide that today. We have time, but wanted to put that out there.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I think maybe at September, we can discuss it, because the mask mandate may end in mid-September, although I suspect it'll be extended given the Delta variant's continued surge. So I think if the mask mandate's on, then I think it's wise to do it virtually.
Okay.
Maybe even wise to do it virtually otherwise, but I think that's kind of the trigger for me. I see a couple thumbs up to that, so why don't we plan on that?
Thank you. That's my report, President Hubble.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. Then we have the whole effluent toxicity testing results. Who is going to be doing that?
That'll be me. Thank you.
Okay, so I
Morning.
thought, Marty.
This is a quick update. If you recall, a couple months ago, Michael reported that we had a failed toxicity test. And just to recap on what that actually is, under our permit, we're required on a rotating quarterly basis to test our effluent at both of our outfalls for toxicity. And that includes setting up samplers at our outfalls, collecting our effluent over a period of time, and then sending it to a specialized lab who conducts a toxicity test using zooplankton species and fish species. So that's a routine thing in our permit, and we very rarely have failures, but we did have one that we reported out to you. That triggers a separate process, which the first step is that we have to do a retest of both of the effluent areas that failed. In this case, it was just one of our outfalls. It was Badger Mill Creek. So all we had to do was a retest of Badger Mill Creek. So we went out again, set up the samplers, did the process over again. And I'm happy to report that everything passed with flying colors, with free and clear. So that basically ends the process. We're back on our normal quarterly schedule for our effluent toxicity testing. And that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you, Marty. Just one question. Do you know, anybody have any idea what kind of led to the original? Was it just a fluke type of thing?
We actually have no idea, because we passed the test, we stopped there. If we would have not passed, then the next step would have been that further investigation with more chemical investigation to try to figure that out, to get more specifics, but we don't have to do that, so we don't know.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? Okay, I'm seeing that. Regulatory and legal review. Paul? Is Paul on?
Good morning, commissioners. A couple of things. Last month was not as busy as some, but we still had a number of things going on. On the regulatory side, there continued to be a variety of PFAS issues that we were monitoring, including some information that we had from the department. We are still following up on disinfection and hope to move that resolution along. And there were some issues associated with wetland permitting associated with the lagoon project. So trying to monitor that a little bit. On the contract side, for a while, last month, we thought there was going to be a new development on Olin Avenue. But that, of course, and had that been the case, it would have involved some significant impact on some of the district's infrastructure in that area. That, however, hit a major wall with the City Plan Commission. So at this point, it's not clear whether that's going forward or not. Probably not, at least in the short term. There were a couple of personnel issues that we were able to respond to and resolve without a lot of concern. So relatively a slow month, but as long as it was slow and there is not a lot on this meeting, I just thought I would take the opportunity to note that one of the regulatory issues that we are following on behalf of a number of communities associated with PFAS is the potential opportunity for what's known as a green tier charter. And the department is considering whether to develop and offer a green tier charter to municipalities and private sector folks with respect to compliance on potential surface water standards. And essentially, green tier is a program where it's not a compliance tool, it's a tool to go above and beyond what is required. But it also provides some benefits, not only from a public relations standpoint, but some benefits from the standpoint of providing some coordination and resources. So, for example, in the proposed surface water standards, if that rule in fact passes, it's possible that the district would not have to do a pollution minimization plan. But the green tier program, if it continues, would offer department resources to help communities like the district to develop such programs, and we could voluntarily be part of that. So this is in its very early stages, and we can, this may not come to pass, but it is a potential development that would allow us in a more formal way, if we chose to do so, some additional PFAS work, even if our numbers wouldn't require us to do so. So that's something we can maybe talk about at a future commission, but I at least wanted to alert people that there are some discussions going on at the department right now about the potential for setting up a program like that.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Anyone have any questions? Michael, just a question. Where do we stand with our PFAS testing? Is it still kind of waiting for DNR approval of the testing people?
We have a scheduled study session coming up.
Okay, good.
And Marty will be giving the full presentation on those results and what those.
Okay. Good. Okay. That will take us to the operations report. Alan, are you going to do it, or is Eric?
I am.
Okay.
Unless Eric would rather. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Alan, we
Okay,
can see it.
good. All right. Don't as the well, yeah, it's the same thing. So good. Good morning, commissioners. Alan Grooms, operations manager, Madison Metropolitan, and be doing the July operations report. The dashboard metrics look pretty good for the month of July. As you can see, we've got pretty solid performance right in pretty much the normal ranges you might expect on CBOD, ammonia, solids. Chlorides are near the top end of the list. Again, that's kind of, I think that's largely a dilution factor. If we take that and break that down to how many pounds of mass of chloride are actually coming in, it's actually pretty consistent with past years. It's just been so dry that in this case, we're measuring it on a concentration, and there's just less clear water in there to dilute that. The phosphorus numbers are a little bit higher than our normal 3-year range in the shaded bar, still well within our permit limits. But that is probably largely correlates to the suspended solids being slightly higher, a little bit above mid-range, on the near the top of the range. Keep in mind that we do a biological phosphorus removal process. So a lot of our solids are going to be organic in nature. They're going to have the biological mass. So all living things have got phosphorus in them. We're actually, because we're doing biological phosphorus removal, we're actually conditioning those organisms to hold more phosphorus in them than is normal. So our solids probably pack a little bit more punch than normal within the treatment process for phosphorus. So a little bit of suspended solids going out can have a much bigger bang on the phosphorus front. So, which is important that we watch the solids as well. We that's a little bit of movement on that towards the higher end can really move our needle as well on the phosphorus front. So because of the way we do our phosphorus lease and the digestion process, that's the suspended solids would be in our liquid stream, our effluent process. The wasted solids, we have the phosphorus reduced from that as part of our struvite removal process. And so those solids then go into digestion. That number gets pulled down before it goes out to field. So in case there's maybe a question brewing on that interrelation as well. And then our fecal numbers look great with the new UV system. I don't know, any questions on the dashboard metrics? Okay, I'll just move on here then to the resource recovery metrics. Again, struvite recovery, we're here a little past halfway point of the year. We are definitely tracking behind our normal numbers on struvite shipped. It doesn't seem to be anything we can point to. Our effluent numbers look good. We just right now aren't making it quite as much as far as going out on the truck as we normally would. So I don't have a good I don't have a good explanation for that openly for why that is. I would expect that to be a little bit higher, but we are, right now we're not seeing anything that's cause for concern. So it's maybe just an interesting tidbit at this point. Clean water is really a function of what we're receiving. That's definitely behind the pace as well, and is going to continue so unless we start getting quite a bit of rain. In theory, the rain we get shouldn't be coming to the treatment plant, but we all know in practice some of that does, and so that's and the groundwater infiltration, things like that. So that all is we're much lower than the normal values for that. Biogas, we are right on track for that. Reused effluent on track. Metrogo, we're going to be right in this range here where we normally finish up. And as Michael mentioned, as of the end of July, we had not made any Metrogo cake, but we did make a batch for a test program we were going to do, and that we had the polymer system fail during that. It came at the beginning of a storm, and part of that we had sometimes an electrical glitch will drop out the polymer system, computer system. And so that ultimately cascaded then to a failure in that system that had that 5 gallons of foam that Michael referenced earlier. So we will show a little bit on that metric for next month. So just a teaser, I'm sure you're all looking forward to that. So any questions on the resource recovery? Okay, unless anyone's got anything else they want to have me answer ad hoc, that's all I actually have.
Okay, thank you, Alan. No one has any questions? Okay, that'll take us to the future meeting schedule, which is in the packet. Future agenda topics. I didn't hear anything come up today. And other business, and do we have a motion to adjourn?
Commissioner Swanson, I'll move that we adjourn.
Foster.
Tom, you're muted.
All that happened. Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Swanson and second by Commissioner Foster. To adjourn, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.